Imagine having nothing better to do than wait months on end for a Pokemon professor to record a new video. Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas. You're welcome. Let's get started. Now, last time, if you remember, I was trying to take down Misty at the gym, and it was a miserable failure. So what I've done in the meantime is I have spent some time leveling up, and on top of that, I caught a backup Pokemon that's going to help us. So I was able to grab an Oddish, and it was beyond annoying because the only move that it knows when you get it is Absorb. And so you have to keep doing it where you put the Oddish out in front and then you retreat it back and you gain experience one battle at a time. So we have the Oddish up to level 19. The Oddish is going to be the backup, and the Pikachu will be our main contender. So let's pray that we'll be able to take out Misty this time, because we've really got to get out of here. Start moving towards the SS Anne is the next place we have to go before we end up taking on Lieutenant Surge in Vermilion City. Alright, so let's save real quick, just so I don't lose all that leveling progress. And as entertaining as it is to watch hours on end of just grinding levels, I did skip that, so that's not on video. Alright, let's give this a shot here. So I have not had a chance to pick up the new Pokemon game. So I think it's the remake of Diamond and Pearl has come out. So that might be something that I try to grab over winter break. But the thing is, I have so many games backlogged outside of Pokemon games, just games that I need to actually play and finish. So I'm trying to work through Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Nintendo Switch right now, and I am trying to play through Bravely Second, which is the sequel to Bravely Default, on my 3DS. So I've got my hands full in regards to, when I say new games, they're older games, but games that I need to complete in my backlog. I've got a huge pile of them. Oh, X-Defend, wonderful. Alright, well, at least we don't take a hit this turn. I think we should be able to pull it off this time. So, alright. Can I survive the Bubble Beam? Yes. Alright, good. I think that's it. Done. Perfect. Alright. And an extra level to boot. So I'm also starting to think, when we get to the 4th gym, so it's, what is it, Celadon City, we are going to get access to the Eevee. And we're going to have to pick, because we get one of 3. It can either be a Flareon, a Vaporeon, or it could be a Jolteon. Now, Jolteon was always my choice when I was younger. I love Jolteon. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. But I also like using my Raichu for electric, and I could use a solid water Pokemon since we chose Charmander as the starter. So I am thinking of using Vaporeon as sort of our main water-ice go-to. You know, Articuno serves that purpose, but it depends on whether or not you're going to use legendaries when you're battling and doing the Elite Four. So, but you absolutely have to, by the time you get to the Elite Four, you have to have a Pokemon that is able to perform ice moves. Because when you get to Lance's battle and you're doing dragons, and you need to, especially when you're fighting his Dragonite, you have to have some sort of a ice Pokemon, because it's not effective to use any of the starter's strongest moves. So like Flamethrower or Surf, Hydro Pump, Solar Beam, all of those are ineffective against dragon types. So it's actually interesting. I was listening to a kind of an analysis on the original Pokemon games, like a retrospect, however many years later. 25 years is the anniversary we're in right now, so 25 years later. And it was talking about, you know, a lot of people talk about how the first generation has a lot of glitches and things of that nature. And basically, part of what it was talking about was how much more challenging it was coming into the first gen where they were really just trying to make a JRPG where you were leveling and, you know, having to go long stretches without Pokemon centers, which is part of what made this so challenging, is that they didn't, the battles were more difficult, but they also didn't just offer a Pokemon center every 20 feet where you could heal up. You had to go these long stretches. You had to manage your resources better in order to actually, you know, make it through these long stretches inside of caves and stuff like that. And if you didn't manage those resources well, you would either black out and have to go back to the previous Pokemon Center, or you'd have to use an escape rope. And the problem is that it resets your progress in going through those caves or those underground areas and stuff. And that is true, because I think about it. And one of the things that I really liked, outside of the nostalgia factor, which you know I always go on about, is that there was more challenge built into the first two games. One of the other things they were mentioning that I thought was really interesting was that the legendaries in the first generation were surprises. So if you bought this game, short of other kids in your class that had beaten the game or something like that back in the day, you didn't know about the legendaries, right? Especially if you weren't watching the anime. Like, you look at the covers, Pokemon Blue was Blastoise and Pokemon Red was Charizard. They were starters. And then you look at every single gen after that, and they've got the legendaries on the box, even starting with Gen 2, right? They've got Lugia for Silver and Ho-Oh on the Gold box, and it's like it's showing you ahead of time the legendary. It was like the birds in here, Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos, plus Mewtwo. That was something you had to go in and explore, right? You didn't pick up the box and just realize, like, oh, Mewtwo's endgame. You're just going to have access to a Mewtwo. So part of it, I think, was also kind of like the mystique that you didn't know when you suddenly came across one of those birds that were just hanging out. Like, you come across Articuno in Seafoam Island, and you're like, what is this? And then you realize it's this ultra-powerful Pokemon that you probably shouldn't be involved in a battle with at that point. And it's got a different vibe to it, a different feel. All right, let's take out the Team Rocket Grunt, and I think he gives us the Dig TM, if I'm not mistaken. So then we should be able to proceed forward. And I guess we're going to have access to the daycare. So if we want to do a sort of a lazy drop-off, usually the best Pokemon to do that with is Magikarp, because you have to get it all the way to level 20 before you get your Gyarados. So maybe at some point we'll buy a Magikarp and we'll fish up a Magikarp. I don't know that I bought one. And we'll drop it off there. Yes. Let's keep working on Charmeleon's level. So Pikachu, it's also good not just for the second gym that we leveled him, but we are going to be going onto the SS Anne, which is the boat. And there are quite a number of water-based Pokemon, because they have sailors that are using, like, shelters and stuff like that on the boat. So it's good to have an electric Pokemon, especially if you didn't start with, what's the name? Bulbasaur. If you didn't start with Bulbasaur as your starter, it's very good to have an electric Pokemon this early in the game that's leveled up pretty well. So, and then Charizard will finally have, or at some point it will be Charizard, will finally have its time to shine in the 4th gym, because it's grass-based. So, alright. I love how I'm always talking about this stuff, just reminiscing, but I feel like a bunch of people that watch this played the original Pokemon games, and so they kind of already know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm explaining it. Like, oh, the 4th gym is grass-based, but I feel like there's a bunch of people that already know that. I don't know. Alright, let's see. Do I even have any Pokemon I want to drop off here right now? Yeah, why don't we drop off Abra? Because I would love to have the Kadabra as a Psychic Pokemon. And so let's snag some levels, because Abra only knows Teleport. Alright, and we'll come pick Abra up later. Alright, so let's see. Do I go through here? No, I go through the underground. So remember, all that stuff is cut off until you get, what is it, the spring water that you can share with them? No, I'm not going to do that trade. And yeah, if you're in the underground place, if you're constantly hitting the the A button or the accept button. A lot of times there's stuff that's dropped in the tunnel that you can pick up and you can find. So there's probably exact like pixel locations for each of them. I'm not sure what they are. Yeah, people lose things in the underground path. And a full restore is actually a pretty good item to have this early in the game. That's actually a pretty nice find. All right, let's see. I'm gonna put Charmeleon out front. All right. It's nice to finally. What did it take us? Months on end to finally beat Misty. Just haven't had the time. All right. We'll be super effective against this, so that's good. But anyway, yep, I definitely think that first gen, I would agree with second gen too, had more of a RPG, you know, grinding out the levels type of theme versus Gen 3 and later. And even Gen 3 was still okay then. But you look at what it is now, and I still love Pokemon, and I like what the games are now. But the more challenging aspect and the whole idea of managing resources and making sure that you've got a well-balanced party and everything has definitely left the genre. I don't think that it's like that anymore. For one thing, leveling is way too easy in the new games in comparison to what it used to be. So. At least we also are in a place that has more wild Pokemon that are at higher levels now. Because it was really starting to take a long amount of time coming across like level 8 to 12 back in Cerulean City. Alright. Of course you would have a Squirtle. Of course. Alright. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to wrap up right now. I got some other stuff I got to tend to before I get started for the day here. So, Professor Pokemon reported for duty. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.